The bridge of the Imperial dreadnought Valiance hummed with disciplined silence. Holographic star maps glowed in cold blues and reds. Fleet formations drifted like obedient schools of metal predators around the conquered system. Admiral Korth stood at the center dais, with his hands clasped behind his back, confident and bored. This world had been marked for pacification weeks ago. Its defenses crushed, its satellites burning debris. The Empire had faced hundreds of species, and all of them eventually learned the same lesson. A junior sensor officer shifted nervously, reading flickers on his display. His frills tightened as he adjusted the scan filters again and again. Admiral Korthan felt irritation rise before the words were spoken. Unnecessary movement was a sign of weakness on an Imperial bridge. He turned, eyes narrowing, preparing a reprimand that would be remembered for cycles. Before he could speak, the lights dimmed. A deep vibration rolled through the hull like distant thunder. The star map shimmered, then violently reconfigured. Itself, a massive new silhouette forced its way into the tactical display, eclipsing nearby icons. For a heartbeat, no one breathed. The sensor officer screamed, his voice cracking the practiced calm of the bridge. "Admiral, a human battleship just Decloaked," he shouted, terror bleeding into every syllable. Korthan's mandibles flared wide in shock. Human. The word carried a weight far heavier than its simple sound. Humans were a minor species, a backwater civilization, officially classified as technologically inferior. They were traders, diplomats, survivors, not empire breakers. At least that was what the archives claimed. The tactical hologram stabilized, revealing the ship in horrifying detail. It was enormous, dwarfing even the Imperial flagship. Its hull layered in dark segmented armor. Heat blooms pulsed along its surface, like the breathing of some colossal beast. Weapon ports opened and closed, with mechanical patience, as if stretching after a long sleep. Korthan felt something unfamiliar, tightened in his chest. This was not a raider, not a patrol vessel, not a desperate last stand. This was a warship that had arrived late by choice. And it had chosen now. "Identify it," Korthan demanded, forcing steel back into his voice. The bridge crew scrambled, data streams flooding in far faster than protocols allowed. Translation engines worked frantically, tearing meaning from encrypted human signals. The display finally resolved a designation in harsh, angular script. HBS Resolute. Below it, a simple transmission repeated across all channels, calm and unmistakable. "This system is under human protection." Around the bridge, officers exchanged looks of disbelief. Korthan stared at the words, his confidence cracking for the first time in decades. Somewhere deep in his instincts, a warning screamed louder than any sensor officer ever could. Admiral Korthan straightened his posture, refusing to let fear show. The Empire did not retreat from messages. He raised a clawed hand, signaling the communications officer. "Open a channel," he ordered. "Remind them who holds dominion here." The channel opened, projecting the human vessel's feed. There was no visible bridge, no officers posturing for intimidation. Instead, only a stark emblem filled the air, a circle broken by a vertical line. It radiated an unsettling simplicity. Korthan spoke with measured contempt. "Human vessel, you are trespassing in an Imperial reclamation zone. Power down your weapons and prepare for inspection." Silence answered him. Not the static-filled delay of damage comes, but a deliberate pause. Seconds stretched, becoming heavy enough to suffocate. Several Imperial captains shifted uneasily in their stations. Finally, a human voice came through, low and steady. "This is Captain Elias Ward of the human battleship Resolute. You are occupying a protected system. You will withdraw immediately." The words were plain, almost polite. That was what made them terrifying. No threats, no bluster, no attempt to justify, just certainty. Korthan laughed, sharp and forced. "The Empire does not withdraw," he snapped. "Your species barely holds a handful of stars. Do you truly believe a single ship can challenge a fleet?" Again, the pause. When the human captain spoke, his tone had not changed. "We are not here to challenge you. We are here to end this." Data alarms erupted across the bridge. Imperial sensors screamed as energy readings spiked beyond known thresholds. The Resolute's hull began to glow faintly, lines of white light, tracing ancient geometric patterns. Space itself seemed to bend around the vessel. Weapons officers shouted, overlapping reports, unknown power signatures, massive gravitational distortions, temporal inconsistencies that made the computers stutter. Korthan's confidence finally shattered. He had studied countless enemy doctrines. None of them looked like this. This was not aggression. This was preparation. "Fire!" Cawthon roared, desperation bleeding through his authority. "Bring it down now!" The Imperial Fleet obeyed. Lances of plasma and coherent light tore through the void, converging on the human battleship. For a moment, the bridge filled with hope as the attack vanished into blinding impact. Then the glare faded. The Resolute still floated there, untouched. Its shields had not flared, its armor unscarred. The human captain spoke again. Quieter now, almost regretful. "That was your warning shot." Cawthon felt his legs tremble. He realized, too late, that the Empire had misunderstood humanity completely. They were not weak. They were patient. The Resolute moved. There was no dramatic acceleration, no visible exhaust. It simply changed position, sliding through space as if reality itself made room. Imperial targeting systems lagged behind, struggling to predict motion that ignored conventional physics. "Lock weapons," Cawthon screamed. "Predictive fire. Saturate the area." The fleet complied again, filling space with lethal brilliance. But the human battleship was already elsewhere. Each miss deepened the dread spreading across the bridge. This was not a duel. This was a demonstration. The Resolute's main cannons aligned, massive structures unfolding from its spine. They glowed with contained fury, not wild energy, but compressed inevitability. Human engineering. Brutally efficient, terrifyingly calm. The first shot did not explode. It struck an Imperial cruiser and simply erased it. One moment it existed, the next it was gone. No debris, no radiation bloom, no wreckage, just absence. A second shot followed, then a third, each one removing another ship from existence. The Imperial formation broke as captains panicked, discipline unraveling in real time. Cawthon watched in horror as centuries of naval doctrine collapsed. Shields were meaningless, armor irrelevant, maneuvering futile. The human weapon did not destroy, it denied. Reports flooded in from across the fleet, systems failing without damage, crews unconscious without injury, time itself behaving strangely near the human ship. "Admiral," an officer whispered, voice shaking. "They are not targeting randomly." Cawthon turned slowly. "What do you mean?" he demanded. "They are disabling command ships first." The officer replied, "They are cutting coordination." The truth hit Cawthon like a physical blow. This was not rage. This was strategy refined by wars the Empire had never seen. Humanity had learned how to end conflicts efficiently and mercifully. Another transmission came through, overriding Imperial channels with ease. The human captain's face finally appeared. Worn, scarred, undeniably tired. "We warned you," he said. "We protect worlds that cannot protect themselves. Leave now, and you live." Cawthon looked around his bridge, at officers who had followed him through countless victories, at displays showing annihilation unfolding faster than orders could be given. For the first time in his career, the correct choice was painfully clear. "Cease fire!" Cawthon ordered, his voice hollow. The remaining Imperial ships obeyed, weapons falling silent. The void felt suddenly immense and empty. The Resolute powered down its cannons, but it did not move away. It waited, patient as only humans could be. Withdrawal orders rippled through the Imperial Fleet. Ships turned away from the protected world, engines flaring as they fled. Pride burned hotter than fear in many hearts, but survival won. Cawthon remained on the bridge, staring at the human battleship that had undone him. The Resolute did not pursue, it simply watched, a silent guardian against the stars. That restraint cut deeper than any weapon. It was proof that humanity did not need conquest to assert power. As the last Imperial cruiser jumped to hyperspace, the human captain spoke one final time. "Admiral Cawthon," he said, pronouncing the alien name flawlessly. "Remember this moment. Tell your empire what you saw." The channel closed. The emblem faded, and with it, the illusion of Imperial invincibility. Cawthon sank into his command throne, mandibles trembling. He had screamed at the sight of a single ship, and that scream would echo across the Empire. Worlds would whisper the story. Fleets would hesitate before crossing human space. The Empire had learned a new truth. Humanity did not need an empire to be terrifying. All they needed was one battleship, and the will to stand alone. Asterisks in the cycles that followed. The story spread faster than any official report. An admiral's scream, a human ship appearing from nothing, an empire turning away in silence. Humanity never boasted. They never broadcast victory. They simply continued guarding the edges of space where the vulnerable lived. And every time an Imperial captain considered expansion, they remembered the name Resolute. and the moment the stars themselves seemed to side with humans, the galaxy understood at last. The most dangerous species was not the loudest, but the one that arrived quietly and ended wars before they truly began.